stop it. Almanzo was just being nice.
I suppose he was being nice when he you today, too, huh?
On the forehead. For luck on my test.
Little House on the Prairie was not merely an iconic family drama, but also carried within it shocking truths that shattered the flawless image viewers had cherished for decades. Set in 19th century America, the series depicted the harsh yet resilient journey of the Ingalls family, delivering timeless lessons of humanity. Yet behind the stage lights was another reality filled with strange and at times chilling stories. From the sudden deaths of several cast members after the show ended, to Michael Landon's habit of drinking on set and erupting in anger that left the crew terrified, and even the accidental appearances of modern clothing slipping into a 19th century backdrop, noticed only by the most observant eyes. Now, let us uncover 20 staggering and almost unbelievable secrets about this legendary series. 1. Actors died from radiation exposure. While filming Little House on the Prairie, several actors and crew members developed cancer believed to be caused by radiation exposure near the filming location. Michael Landon. Charles Ingalls died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 54. Victor French. Isaiah Edwards succumbed to lung cancer. Kevin Hagen. Doc Baker passed away from esophageal cancer. And Merlin Olsen. Jonathan Garvey died from mesothelioma. The suspected cause was the proximity of the Big Sky Ranch filming site to the Santa Susana Field Laboratory, located just 15 miles away. This lab was the site of a nuclear disaster in 1959, which released significant radioactive contamination into the environment. During the production of the series, the area was still thought to be contaminated. Studies later revealed cancer rates in the region were 60% higher than the national average. Over 2,000 cancer-related deaths were reported near Santa Susana, according to some studies. While no definitive evidence links the crew's illnesses to radiation, the eerie coincidence has left many shaken. A seemingly peaceful family show was hiding a chilling truth behind the scenes. 2. Destroy the town of Walnut Grove. In the final episode, The Last Farewell, viewers watched as the townspeople of Walnut Grove destroyed their own community to keep it from falling into the hands of a villain. Yet behind that dramatic farewell lay a truth rooted not in fiction, but in legal obligations. The entire town set was built on land owned by Getty Oil Company. The contract stated clearly that once the series ended, the crew had to return the land to its original condition, leaving no buildings behind. Instead of quietly dismantling each structure, Michael Landon turned the legal requirement into one of television's most unforgettable scenes. He wrote into the script the destruction of the town by explosions, an idea both legally compliant and visually spectacular. The blasts not only fulfilled the contract, but also gave the series a haunting, emotionally charged finale. Landon described it as a strong ending, rich in pioneer spirit. For millions of viewers, the fiery destruction of Walnut Grove became an unforgettable farewell to one of television's most beloved icons. 3. The controversial legacy of Laura Ingalls Wilder. While Little House on the Prairie was inspired by Laura Ingalls Wilder's beloved book series, her legacy has not been without controversy. Critics have taken issue with the way Wilder's works depict Native Americans, often portraying them as savage or frightening. One of the most infamous quotes from her books reads, "The only good Indian is a dead Indian," though this was a statement made by a character reflective of historical attitudes. At the time, it has been criticised for perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Additionally, Wilder's description of Kansas as empty when the Ingalls family settled there has been challenged, as the land was historically home to many Native American tribes. These depictions have led some to question the appropriateness of Wilder's books in a modern context. In 2018, the American Library Association ALA renamed the Laura Ingalls Wilder Award to the Children's Literature Legacy Award to better align with contemporary values of inclusion and equality. 4. Colonel Sanders steps out of time. In the episode Wave of the Future from Season 8, viewers were stunned to see Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, appear in Walnut Grove offering Harriet Olsen the chance to open a fried chicken franchise. But here lies the glaring issue. Colonel Sanders was born in 1890. The series takes place in the 1870s, 1880s, and KFC itself was not established until 1952. This moment became a blatant anachronism that shattered historical accuracy, yet it provided audiences with a burst of laughter. Rumours even spread that the production crew used actual KFC fried chicken on set as a form of subtle product placement. Whether accidental or intentional, the sight of Colonel Sanders in the Old West left a lasting impression. It turned this episode into a bizarre but unforgettable legend in television history, both absurd and amusing to fans whenever it is remembered. 5. The Scandalous Private Life of Michael Landon. On screen, Michael Landon embodied Charles Ingalls, the image of a devoted father, a faithful husband, and a loving pillar of the family in Little House on the Prairie. Yet behind that shining facade was a personal life riddled with scandal, particularly affairs that severely damaged his wholesome reputation. Landon was accused of engaging in multiple extramarital relationships involving both crew members and fellow cast. The most infamous of these was his affair with Cindy Clerico, a young makeup artist 20 years his junior. That relationship ultimately ended his 19-year marriage to his second wife, Lynn No, leaving fans disillusioned and disappointed. These affairs not only disrupted Landon's private life, but also cast a shadow over the ideal father figure he had built on television. Still, his talent and influence within the television industry remain undeniable. It is this duality that makes him such a controversial figure, admired for his artistry, yet criticised for his personal flaws, leaving behind a legacy both radiant and troubled. 6. Michael Landon and the Giant Platform Shoes. Michael Landon, as Charles Ingalls, always wanted to appear taller on screen, though his real height of 1.75 metres was entirely average. To embody the image of a strong patriarch, Landon wore platform shoes with lifts up to 10 centimetres and at times even stood on boxes, stairs or piles of dirt during filming. Allison Arngrim once joked that Landon would try anything to seem taller except digging holes for others to stand in. His efforts often amused the crew, but on camera, Charles Ingalls still appeared as a towering, steadfast figure. Beyond the lifts, clever camera angles and smart set arrangements enhanced the illusion. As a result, audiences never noticed the trick, only seeing a commanding, powerful presence, an absolute triumph of cinematic staging. 7. Michael Landon and his unbelievable habits. On screen, Michael Landon embodied the perfect, loving father. Yet behind the cameras, he carried two unusual habits no one would expect: dyeing his hair and secretly drinking alcohol disguised in a coffee cup. Landon began greying in his early 20s and resorted to dyeing his hair to maintain a youthful image. But because he initially did it himself, his hair sometimes took on a purplish tint under the lights. Eventually, he hired a personal stylist to ensure it always appeared the perfect brown on camera. He also had the habit of starting his mornings with whiskey hidden inside his coffee. Actress Allison Arngrim recalled witnessing his assistant pour liquor into Landon's cup as a daily ritual. Remarkably, despite drinking, he remained disciplined and never allowed it to interfere with his work. These seemingly contradictory details only made Landon more fascinating, a flawless father figure on screen, yet strikingly human and ordinary behind the scenes. 8. costume mistake, Caroline's modern bra. In several scenes, Caroline Ingalls' Karen Grassle inadvertently revealed a modern bra beneath her 19th century dress. This wardrobe slip drew attention because the modern bra was not invented until 1912, while the series was set in the 1870s, 1880s. Women of that period would have worn corsets or camisoles, but for practicality and comfort, Grassle was allowed to use a bra. As a result, in some moments when Caroline bent down or moved abruptly, sharp-eyed viewers could easily spot the garment. Though it disrupted historical accuracy, the mistake became a light-hearted detail fans never forgot. It also proved that even productions striving for utmost authenticity can never entirely escape small, amusing errors. 9. The legendary fall of Little Carrie. In the opening credits of Little House on the Prairie, the image of little Carrie Sidney Greenbush tumbling down a hill has long been etched in viewers' memories. Most believed it was a carefully staged shot, but in truth, it was a complete accident. At the time, Sidney was only 3 years old. Her mother hurriedly rushed her onto the set to film the scene with her sisters, but in the rush accidentally put her shoes on the wrong feet. As the camera rolled, Sidney stumbled, lost her balance and flipped forward down the slope. The crew panicked and rushed over, only to find the little girl laughing happily, completely unharmed. Michael Landon, who directed the scene, realised the fall was so natural that he decided to keep it in the credits. That choice turned what was merely an accident into an iconic moment cherished across generations. No one could have predicted that such a small mishap would create one of the most enduring images in the history of the series. 10. Allison Arngrim's long road to becoming Nellie. Before she became the infamous villain, Nellie Allison Arngrim endured a grueling audition journey. She had initially auditioned for both Laura and Mary, but failed both times. Arngrim later described the process as a marathon of repeated failures. Her first attempt was for Laura, but she was quickly rejected for lacking the innocence and brightness the role demanded. She then tried for Mary, only to be turned down again for not being gentle and serene enough. It was only when she auditioned for Nellie, the spoiled, manipulative troublemaker, that she completely captivated the production team. For Arngrim, playing Nellie was nothing short of a release. Off-screen, she was cheerful and humorous, so embodying a villain felt like living an entirely different life. The role not only launched her career, but also gave the series one of its most unforgettable characters. Her arduous journey stands as proof that sometimes failure itself is the stepping stone to the greatest success. 11. Fake Minnesota in the middle of California desert. The lush meadows seen in Little House on the Prairie were never filmed in Minnesota at all, but at Big Sky Ranch, an arid, scorching area in Simi Valley, California. To recreate the authentic Midwestern countryside, the crew installed an enormous underground irrigation system, keeping the fields green in the middle of desert-like conditions. The system ensured the grass stayed vibrant, but the heat still made filming grueling. Temperatures often soared past 37 degrees, leaving many actors exhausted. On the very first day of filming, Allison Arngrim Nellie and an assistant director even collapsed from heat stroke. To make matters worse, the cast had to wear heavy 19th century costumes, multi-layered dresses, long sleeves and wide-brimmed hats. These outfits, stifling and weighty, turned every scene into an ordeal. Yet through perseverance, the production created a flawless illusion. Those Minnesota fields not only fooled the cameras, but also became one of the series' most iconic images etched forever into the audience's memory. 12. When a doll replaced a stunt double. In one episode, Little House on the Prairie featured a scene where a character was thrown from a moving train. But instead of a daring stunt, sharp-eyed viewers noticed the truth. The crew used a doll. The sequence was filmed in 2 parts. The doll hurled off the train, followed by a stunt, double tumbling down a hill. But due to a clumsy edit, both appeared in the same frame. The result: the doll lay stiffly on the ground, while just beside it, the stunt double kept rolling, creating an absurd, unforgettable spectacle. This slip-up quickly became one of the show's most infamous technical mistakes. What was intended to be dramatic instead turned into pure comedy. A small error, yet one that produced one of the funniest and most memorable moments in Little House on the Prairie. 13. The time-lapse mistake in the final episode. In The Last Farewell, viewers were told the story was set in 1901, more than 14 years after the events of the last season. Logically, the characters should have aged and the children should have grown into adults. Yet strangely, no one in Walnut Grove looked any different. Charles and Caroline Ingalls still appeared youthful, even though in reality Charles had died just a year after that date. Carrie James and Cassandra, who should have been adults, remained frozen as children. This inconsistency came from the production's failure to adjust makeup or costumes to reflect the passage of time. As a result, it felt as though time itself had stopped in Walnut Grove, leaving the finale with a jarring continuity gap. Even so, The Last Farewell remained beloved for its emotional ending when the townspeople destroyed their own community to keep it from falling into villainous hands. The time error was difficult to ignore, but it did not diminish the power of the farewell. 14. The fake sisterhood of Laura and Mary. On screen, Laura and Mary Ingalls were inseparable sisters, bound by love and loyalty. Off-screen, however, Melissa Gilbert. Laura and Melissa Sue Anderson. Mary could hardly stand each other. In her memoir, Gilbert revealed she always found Anderson distant and aloof. Tensions began from the very first days of filming and lasted throughout their 9 years together. Other cast members also noted that Anderson kept herself apart from everyone, creating a cold distance in real life. Ironically, despite their strained relationship off-screen, both actresses performed brilliantly on screen. The tender scenes between Laura and Mary convinced viewers they truly shared a deep sisterly bond. It was a testament to their professionalism. This strained dynamic has been frequently revisited after the show ended, becoming one of the most surprising behind-the-scenes revelations. On television, it was eternal sisterhood. In reality, it was a completely different story. 15. Laura's unusually long pregnancy. In Season 7, Laura Ingalls joyfully announced her pregnancy in the bloom of spring. Yet strangely, by the following summer, she still had not given birth. This wasn't some magical twist in the storyline, but rather a glaring timeline error in production. The problem arose because the episodes were not filmed in chronological order. As the story moved from blossoming spring to sweltering summer, Laura's baby bump remained unchanged. For sharp-eyed viewers, it looked as if Laura endured a pregnancy lasting more than a year, a blunder so absurd it became legendary. Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura later, mentioned the mistake in her memoir, dubbing it the longest pregnancy ever on television. Instead of frustrating the audience, the error turned into a humorous quirk that made the series even more endearing. A small slip, but one that added to the charm of Little House on the Prairie. 16. The Magic Blanket. One of the most amusing prop mistakes in Little House on the Prairie involves a distinctive blanket that seemed to wander mysteriously through Walnut Grove. With its white base and geometric patterns, the blanket appeared in house after house with no explanation. It was first spotted on the bed of the Ingalls family. A few episodes later, it turned up in the Olsen home, and then again in the houses of minor characters. Attentive viewers quickly noticed the oddity and even turned it into a playful mystery widely discussed among fans. The reason was simple. The production had a limited budget and often reused props to cut costs. the blanket was just one of many items rotated between sets. Though trivial, the magic blanket became a beloved detail that gave the series a quirky charm. For longtime fans, it remains a nostalgic Easter egg that adds to the warmth of Little House on the Prairie. 17. Melissa Gilbert and her rebellious youth. On screen, Melissa Gilbert embodied innocence and simplicity as Laura Ingalls. Yet in real life, she experienced a turbulent and rebellious youth. Gilbert was romantically linked with several high-profile stars, including Rob Lowe, Billy Idol, Tom Cruise, and Scott Baio. Her relationship with Rob Lowe was especially sensational. The two became engaged, but the romance collapsed after Gilbert suffered a miscarriage. Beyond love affairs, Gilbert also admitted struggling to control her personal life. After 3 marriages, she eventually found stability and happiness with her third husband actor, Timothy Busfield. Despite the ups and downs, Gilbert remained beloved by audiences for her talent and honesty. Her story stands as proof that child stars often fight hard to find balance between fame and their private lives. 18. Michael Landon, the prankster of the set. Michael Landon was known not only as a gifted actor and director, but also as the mastermind of mischievous pranks on set. One of his signature tricks was hiding frogs in his mouth to startle people. Rachel Greenbush. Carrie Ingalls recalled how Landon would take frogs she and Melissa Gilbert caught near a nearby stream. He would place one in his mouth, approach with a sly smile, and when he opened up, the frog would leap out, sending everyone screaming in shock. Landon also enjoyed teasing the younger cast with ghost stories or deliberately spilling food on them during lunch breaks. Yet his playful spirit created a joyful, close-knit atmosphere for the entire crew. These antics made Landon the heart of the production, remembered by many as a warm father figure, both stern and humorous at once. 19. The secret of the fake meals. The hearty dinners in Little House on the Prairie often made viewers imagine the Ingalls family living off the land preparing simple home-cooked meals. Yet behind the scenes, the truth was completely different. Most of the food came straight from supermarkets or fast food chains. The most frequently used item was Dinty Moore beef stew, a canned meat stew popular at the time. The crew would simply pour it into cast-iron pots or wooden bowls, instantly transforming it into a convincing homemade dish. When fried chicken was needed, they would purchase it directly from KFC and place it into iron trays, making it look as if Caroline Ingalls had just cooked it on her stove. Using ready-made food not only saved time, but also cut production costs. However, it created an amusing paradox. The show celebrated self-sufficient pioneer life, while behind the cameras it relied on the most modern products of the 20th century. This backstage detail has become a humorous topic of discussion among fans. And even knowing the truth, viewers still cherish the warm image of the Ingalls family gathered around the table, despite the fact that nothing on those plates was ever truly homemade. 20. Triumphs on the awards stage. Over its 9 seasons, Little House on the Prairie not only captivated audiences worldwide, but also secured its place with a series of prestigious awards. The show earned 17 Emmy nominations and won 4 times, including the category of Outstanding Sound Mixing. At the Golden Globes, it was nominated for Best Television Series and Best Actress for Melissa Sue Anderson in 1979. The young cast also received repeated recognition at the Young Artist Awards, most notably Melissa Gilbert, whose portrayal of Laura Ingalls became iconic. The series further claimed the People's Choice Award for Favourite Television Drama and was honoured with the Western Heritage Award for its authentic depiction of pioneer life in the American West. These achievements cemented Little House on the Prairie as a timeless television landmark. Little House on the Prairie was more than a story about family and 19th century American culture. It was also a treasure trove of behind-the-scenes tales, at times touching humorous, mysterious, and even unsettling. These revelations added to its uniqueness, making the show unforgettable, both on screen and off. Though it ended long ago, Little House on the Prairie continues to hold enduring appeal, remaining a cherished memory for viewers across generations. Its behind-the-scenes stories only enhance the distinct legacy of one of the most beloved television dramas of all time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you won't miss the next fascinating story. See you in the next video.